last section, how to curate. Again, I already showed you this picture a little bit. So how do you choose works? Well, you already have some experience, so maybe this is a bit less interesting, but I think the way I do it is usually that I sort of see a theme emerge. I have a feeling that some works have something in common, and then I may try to find the concept which gets them together. At least that's what happened with Recouvrement. I felt there was something common in a lot of works that I found interesting, but I didn't quite know what it was, and sort of this concept helped me to find a name for it, like the passive-aggressive that I evoked before would be a concept that can codify behaviors. Of course, you can do the same thing with artworks. So you use your intuition first, of course, your network. I talked to people about the shows I do a lot. I ask them if they know some people that would be interesting for it, go to other shows, you use the internet. But one thing that seems important to me is that you like something and that your friends do so are at best autobiographical details. It's about what's right for the show. It's not about what you like or if people are your friends. Good for you if the artists in the show are your friends, but it shouldn't be the reason why their works are there. I think if you start doing that, then your curational activity sort of is prone to lose its sharpness, its edge. So in many of the shows, I'm also friends with some of the artists, and it's great, but I try not to be complacent with myself or with them, and if they don't fit, and if I say, Bertrand, do you want to participate, and he offers a couple of works and they really don't fit, I'm like, yeah, maybe the next time, you know. And I think it's important that we really stay focused on the ideas of the shows rather than just putting stuff together because we like the people. How to assemble works? I think it has served me well to be open for the unexpected until the opening, pretty much. I had already all the artists for Recouvrement, the flyers weren't printed yet, and then I ran into Bertrand Plan, and I talked with him, and he told me about this series, and I was like, oh man, I absolutely need that for my Recouvrement exhibition. And in the end, it even became the sort of cover picture for the flyer, and so this openness until the end for new things, I think it's a good attitude. This drawing, which was sort of emblematic of the show, actually I found it in the storage of the gallery. It wasn't even, you know, it was not. I had planned to show some works of Vincent Mauger, but this I didn't know it, and it just lied there, and I was like, wow, I have to put that someplace because it's such a nice fit. And another thing is rejoice in unexpected relationships. Some things you can sort of program, and others they just happen when the works come together. So you can have a floor plan, why not? You can do a model, but sometimes things just work out a little differently, or they work out so well when you see them together. And so these three works, this is tentative de 10 attempts to draw a line in the middle of the page from '93, which was in drawing after digital. It's a work by Claude Closky, and interestingly, he did that work after he had worked with a computer. Apple gave him one of the first Macintosh computers. They gave them to artists already in the 80s or beginning of the 90s, and he worked with it. He did a lot of like lines and writing, and then he went back to drawing with the page, but he did this kind of work. And I found it interesting in this context of drawing after digital, because biographically for him it was after digital, but because I also think it sort of puts, it makes visible one thing a computer can do very well and very simply, and what we can't do that well. Because a computer, you just tell him draw the line and it prints it perfectly. But of course, one of the interests, what makes this also touching, I think it's a very minimal, but somehow it is touching, is the sort of impossibility, the limit of the human possibility of drawing that line in the middle of a page, which a computer could do pretty well. Then next to it, there was a work from 2016 by Vincent Mauger, where he plays with these lines that are used to on computers to sort of structure a page, you know, and he makes them like elements of the world. That's part of his just basic vocabularies to take like what's in the background of Photoshop, the grid, that underlies all kinds of constructions. Now when you do a magazine, somewhere in the process there were these lines to guide where people had to put the different paragraphs and sort of plays with it. But of course it also continued the horizon, and that's why I decided, and I kind of regret it, I made one mistake. I did a middle alignment, and I should have been a bit more radical and should have aligned the two horizons. I decided to do the middle alignment, of course, to reinforce this idea of a horizon line that runs through, but I was not precise enough, I would say. But in any case, so that's that. And the third work was by Vincent Mauger, which I also love because these are these pages, you know, we learn. It's a typical French page for school, and they're always the same, right? And it's like they're neutral. Like they didn't mean anything, but they like teach you to write straight, you know? It's like they put you in the little boxes, you have to write your letters in the little boxes and your numbers in the little box. And he just like, there's suddenly something that falls down and kind of breaks open. I really liked that work, and the way the three came together seemed quite interesting. And here it's similar with this work by Julien Prévieux, which is, I didn't explain it before, which was made with policemen in a drawing workshop. And actually this is a crime map. So where they cross, it's hot spots where there's supposed to be frequently crimes. So they try to predict crimes now by creating heat maps based on data that they have from before. And usually it's done by a machine, of course, by a computer, but here the idea was that the policemen calculate the algorithm themselves and draw it by hand. So this looks like computer made, but actually it was handmade, it was part of this drawing workshop. And when you put that next to this other work by Vincent Mauger, suddenly a common tendency, and funnily the colors were very similar, common tendency emerges of like the grid trying to master space through the grid. It's the same thing here. Here it's on the micro level, like it's the minimal, you know, millimeter level, and here it's the city level. But the mindset is the same. It's like, how can I master space? Well, I put it into grids and cut it into bits and pieces. And so this also appeared somehow in this spatial relationship. And of course, here again, he sort of breaks the grid, but it still looks like a spider web. So I'm not sure we really get out of it, because in this case, you still get caught up somehow. Even your vision gets caught up again by the broken grid.